ATL Conference Week was a great experience, and it gave me an idea for my next portfolio project. In this video, I'm building out Conference XP, which is a gamified way to keep track of conference goals, experiences, and the skills that you learn. This app is inspired by my trip to RenderATL, Dreamin in Color, and is also inspired by the solo leveling anime. I'll show you how you can turn your inspirations into design mockups, and then take those mockups and create a working prototype. It's time to elevate your skill set. Hey y'all, so it is time for Portfolio Adventures Episode 2, and this one is going to focus on this Conference XP app. So the first part of this video will take place in Atlanta while I'm attending RenderATL and Dreamin in Color, and you will be able to see my thought process behind this build. You will be able to see some of the experiences that shape this app, and you'll get a better understanding of how you can get started planning and building out your own projects. So let's get started with the planning arc. Hey y'all, I made it to Atlanta safely, and it is 2 o'clock in the morning, and I have to be up very soon to go to RenderATL. So I'm going to give you a very quick update and overview of what I've been working on for this project. So let's hop right on in. So first, I really started brainstorming what this app should look like. I really want this app to have a solo leveling inspired user interface and user experience. So once I got to the hotel, I started jotting down notes so that I could really organize all of my ideas for this conference app. And as I was brainstorming, I realized that I could also build out a design mockup. And so I opened up Canva and just started mocking some things up on the screen. That's just how easy you can get started with design mockups. You don't have to use Figma or any of those other design tools. If you have access to Canva, if you have access to PowerPoint, you can use tools like that to quickly mock up a design. So I used Canva. I was also able to spin up a new Trailhead playground, and I created a new ClickUp project for this conference app. And finally, I discussed this conference app idea with ChatGPT so that it could help me refine the idea. ChatGPT also gave me a few things that I need to look out for while I'm at RenderATL and Dreamin in Color so that I can use my real conference experiences to build out this app. So that is everything that I worked on today. I am about to get ready for bed, so I will talk to you all very soon. As I attended both conferences, I kept thinking how cool it would be to capture all of these different sessions, workshops, and skills inside of the Conference XP app. But I realized that we also need a way to keep track of the unique experiences at keynotes, vendor booths, and at social events like RenderFest. So I had to find a creative way to add in functionality for these events. All right, y'all, so I'm still in Atlanta, but I have already attended RenderATL and Dreamin in Color, and I just wanted to come back and give a wrap up on my experience and how that is going to impact how I'm going to build out this conference app. So while I was at each conference, I took note of some of the things that I thought the app could use. So for example, the line for RenderATL was a little long to get in initially, and I was wishing that I had a skip the line pass. So I thought it would be really cool if I could add in a feature where an attendee could go in and request an upgrade to tickets or travel, hotels, anything like that. Also, at RenderATL, I attended a Versal workshop, and they gave out $30 of free credits to use their AI assistant tool. And so I think that it would be cool if this app could have a way to keep track of any freebies that you get at conferences that could be used to build out prototypes and demos for the business. Also, I want to focus on the user experience a lot for this app. So while you're at the conference, you're not going to have time to fill out like a long form or anything that's very tedious. You need something that is very quick and easy to fill out as you are going from session to session and as you are going from event to event, things like that. You'll see it built out very soon once I get back home. So I'm about to get on the road. I will check in with you all later, and I can't wait to finish this app. I'm back home now, and I've been working on this project on the side for a little over a week, and I feel like it's in a good spot to show to you all. So let me walk you all through what I built out mainly in this building arc. First, I went into Canva and decided to finalize the design mockup. Now, this isn't the prettiest design mockup, but it definitely gets the job done. Next up, I stayed in Canva and created a logo for the Conference XP app. I even created a quick little promo video for the app as well. After finishing all the designs, I went into Salesforce and started building out the actual app. So I went into the Lightning App Builder and started building out this app. I added in the logo that I just created in Canva. I kept all of the default settings, but I wanted to make sure that there was support for both desktop and phone, especially since I wanted this to have a mobile experience. I added in some initial objects to the app, but I ended up changing this later on as I built out the custom objects. And I assigned this to the system admin profile for now. But if we were rolling this app out, we would want to assign this app to additional profiles. Next up, I went in and started creating the custom metadata that would be needed for this app. I wanted to store anything that was configurable in custom metadata, like setting default points for logging experiences and default skill points, things like that. And I also wanted custom metadata to keep track of the different conference titles and the experience point thresholds that are required to reach each title. And here's all of the objects that I built out manually. Since I'm doing a demo of the Lightning Web Components at the end of this video, I will not be going into each object and showing you how I built it out, things like that. But if you want to see that in a future video, just let me know in the comments. We have the objects and the structure needed for this app, but we really need that custom interface in order to give this a gamified experience. So my design has 7 Lightning Web components, and it also has 2 screen flows that will get called from a few of those Lightning Web components. If I were to build all of this out manually, it would take a long period of time. So if you saw the last episode, you already know what time it is. It is time to start the vibe coding arc. To kick things off, I go into VS Code. I spin up a new SFDX project. I call it Conference XP. And then I start pulling in all of the metadata that I built out manually. So all the objects, the fields, the custom metadata, all that. I start pulling that into my project in VS Code so that Codex will have the context it needs in order to build out these Lightning Web components and flows. Then I backed up all of that metadata to GitHub, which is a very important part of this process. This ensures that if Codex does something wrong, that it doesn't affect anything that I've already built out. So once again, whenever you're vibe coding, things like that, make sure that you are using version control like GitHub. Next, I went into ChatGPT and I asked it to generate a markdown file based on my brainstorming notes and the design file. This new Markdown file will contain the build plan that Codex should use to generate the Lightning Web Components and the screen flows required for the user interface. I gave that Markdown file to Codex in VS Code, and then I prompted Codex to start building out the Lightning Web Components and the screen flows based on everything in the Markdown file. However, Codex noticed that there were some metadata differences in my org versus what I had in the plan. So I worked with Codex to fix those issues before we moved forward with building the Lightning Web Components and the flows. Then we were finally ready to start coding. Codex started off by generating some of the Apex classes that are needed for the Lightning Web Components. And then we went into this very long back and forth for the Lightning Web Components. This did take quite a while since there were 7 Lightning Web Components, and I had a lot of design suggestions that I needed to give Codex, and just some things that I really wanted Codex to fix before I was ready to finalize this prototype. But all in all, Codex was able to get the job done, and it was substantially faster to use Codex to build out the Lightning Web Components, the Apex classes, the messaging channels, and the screen flows versus me going in and building out all of this manually. So this is a huge time saver. Once all of the Lightning Web Components were generated, I spent some time adding these Lightning Web Components to the homepage for the Conference XP app. I also made a mobile homepage that will be accessible on mobile devices. All right, so let's quickly walk through what each Lightning Web Component does. This player status Lightning Web Component will give you an overview of your stats for your user record in Salesforce in relation to the Conference XP app. Next up, we have this goals and free roam section. So as you are going to different sessions and events, you can go in and check the goals that your manager has set for you. That's kind of the way that I wanted this to be built out, is that a manager could go in and set goals, or you can set your own goals as well. And you can go in and log experiences. And after you have logged those experiences, you will collect some XP, and you will see that the quest is completed after you successfully log that experience. And logging the experience is just going to open up a screen flow that you will be able to go through and fill out a few questions. You'll be able to either quickly log an experience, or you can log a detailed experience that will allow you to complete a reflection. So once again, we have those side quests that you can complete, and we have free roam mode. So if you want to log a session or a keynote that you went to, but it's not tied to any of the goals or quests that you have assigned to yourself, you can go in and log that session independent from those goals and quests. Next up, we have the current assignments Lightning Web Component. And this component allows us to see which conferences that we are currently assigned to. You can see the dates, the location, and if we were to click into the conference, we can see our attendance record. And on this attendance record, we can go in and give a rating for the conference. We can say if we're going to attend it again. We can add in a reflection. We can request upgrades if we want to. And yeah, so that is how that component works. Next up, we have our reflection quest component. So this component will allow us to see any of the experience logs that are missing reflections. So what I mean by that is if we decided that we were going to quick log a conference experience and we didn't want to fill out these extra fields, this is something that could be filled out later on as a quote unquote reflection quest. So that just allows you to gain some extra XP. And this is something that you can use to tie it back into your work and really explain the benefits of that conference experience. Next, we have this leaderboard component. And this leaderboard is just to add in some competition. So maybe you and your teammates are going to a conference and you all have a competition about who can get the most experience points at the conference. You can keep track of all of that in this leaderboard component. And then finally, I have a conference titles component. It will show you all of the conference titles that you can unlock, and it will also show you the conference titles that you have already achieved. And best of all, you are able to use this app on your mobile devices. So there you have it. That is the Conference XP app. Since I'll be going to conferences in the future, and there's additional features that I would like to add to this app, you will see Conference XP again in future videos. But for now, I hope that you are inspired to use your own experiences and take them to build out your own portfolio projects. That way, you can shock the world and hiring managers.